Hi boys and girls, my name is Mrs. Watts and I am one of the instructional coaches here at Mountain View, and I'm here to do a quick lesson on author's purpose and message. So we're going to start first. I'm going to read you this story called The Hare and the Tortoise. Some of you may know it as the tortoise and the hare, different, but it doesn't matter either way. So I'm going to read this story to you. It's real quick. A hare was making fun of the tortoise one day for being so slow. "Do you ever get anywhere?" he asked with a mocking laugh. "Yes," replied the tortoise, "and I get there sooner than you think. I'll run you a race and prove it." The hare was much amused at the idea of running a race with the tortoise, but for the fun of the thing he agreed. So the fox, who had consented to act as judge, marked the distance and started the runners off. The hare was soon far out of sight, and to make the tortoise feel very deeply how ridiculous it was for him to try a race with a hare, he lay down beside the course to take a nap until the tortoise should catch up. The tortoise meanwhile kept going slowly but steadily, and after a time passed the place where the hare was sleeping. But the hare slept on very peacefully, and when at last he did wake up, the tortoise was near the goal. The hare now ran his swiftest, but he could not overtake the tortoise in time. So a lot of you know that story where the rabbit asks the turtle to a race because he thinks he'll win for sure. How many of you are familiar with that story? Probably a lot of you. Maybe you've even seen a cartoon about this story, right? And you have these two main characters, the rabbit and the turtle. And we know things about rabbits. They're quick, right? They move quickly. And the turtle's nice and slow. And so thinking about a race between them, the problem is that the rabbit thinks that he's so quick he can actually stop and take a nap and still beat the tortoise. But what winds up happening, of course, is that the tortoise overtakes him while he's sleeping and wins the race. So you might be asking yourself, well, what does this story have to do with author's purpose and author's message? Well, we're going to go through that today. Okay? So you may want to pause the video here and go get your notebooks, and I'm going to set up real quick. So I'm going to pause. Alright, so I set up my notebook here, okay, and you've got your notebook too, hopefully. And we are going to title our page Author's Purpose and Message. So let's go ahead and write that at the top. Author's Purpose and Message. Now, I know that you guys have worked on author's purpose, and you have looked at informational texts, and you say that sometimes authors write to inform or explain or describe something in an informational text. But why do authors write fiction? So that's my main question today. Why do authors write fiction? And that's going to lead us to thinking about the author's purpose and message. So one of the easiest things that you've probably learned throughout school is that authors write fiction to entertain. You've probably heard of the author's pie: persuade, inform, entertain. Let's see. I'll turn this autofocus. Maybe I can get it a little bit more clear. There we go. But you know, authors also write to teach us life lessons using fiction. In fiction, sometimes they want to send us to new places. Sometimes an author might write fiction to get us to think about a new perspective. By telling us a story maybe where the main character is not like ourselves. And to go back to this entertain, sometimes authors write to make us laugh. Sometimes they write to make us cry, right? To feel things, okay? So all of these things would be the author's purpose. Okay? So let's say an author's purpose, like in The Tortoise and the Hare, is to teach us a life lesson. Right? Okay? So let's say if the purpose was to teach us a life lesson, what kind of life lessons might we learn? So we might learn lessons about race. We might learn lessons about poverty. We might learn lessons about being kind. We might learn lessons about fitting in or bullying. Maybe the author wants us to learn how to turn a bad situation into something good. So all of these things that I just stated here would be the message. And I'm going to get a green pen here because I think it might show up better. The message. So authors have different purposes and messages in their fiction text. So how do I find out what the purpose is? How do I find out what the message is? So how do I do this? Well, the way you do this is you pay attention to the character and their experiences, maybe their problems and their solutions. So you need to think, right? Think about the characters, the experiences, and problems. So let's go back to The Tortoise and the Hare. What was the author's purpose for writing The Tortoise and the Hare? If I look at these, it might be to entertain. I don't know if it's sending us to new places. It makes us laugh. And it definitely teaches us a life lesson. So the author's purpose was to teach us a life lesson in this story. But what was the author's message? What kind of lesson did he want to teach us? Maybe to never give up if you're looking at it from the tortoise perspective. Or maybe from the rabbit, don't quit until the job is finished. Those would be the messages, right? And how did I do that? I thought about the characters. So, oops, I misspelled character. Boys and girls, seriously. Let's fix that. Think about the characters, like the tortoise, and his experience. Well, he was being made fun of, but he didn't quit, right? He knew that it was a long shot for him to win that race, and he didn't quit, and he wound up winning. I could look at it from the rabbit's perspective, or the hare's perspective as the character. His experience taught him that he was faster than anybody, but he made a really big mistake because he fell asleep. And then he didn't win. So he learned never to quit until the job was finished. So that helps me figure out the purpose and the message. Alright, until next time.